for another thrift haul. I haven't been to the charity shops and I haven't been to a car boot fair, but I have been to the Faversham Safari. So what is the Faversham Safari? If you're in America, you'll know it as a yard sale, garage sale, something like that. And it's been running in Faversham, the town where I live, in Kent, for the last 11 years, I think. So make a note of your diary for 2026, the first Sunday in August. And this year, I think there were about 200 houses, street frontages that you could go and visit, and you could wend your way through the town and see what people were selling. So some people were individuals, some had clubbed together, so sort of communal spots if you felt you were a bit off the beaten track. So it's such great fun. So I went out thrifting with my two pals, Lisa and Jan, and we all came away after 5 hours with some amazing pieces, and we didn't even reach the whole of the town. We probably covered about a quarter of it. So what do you reckon? Have a guess in the comments. How much money did I spend? I'm not entirely sure how much money I spent. And what do you think this lovely, well, perhaps you don't think it's lovely, this red object is? I wasn't in the market for buying said red object, but as ever, I do have my mental list of things that I'm always on the lookout for. So I keep a note on my phone what I'm looking for. And one of the things I'm not looking for are cushions. I keep doing the squeeze test to see whether cushions I come across are feather-filled, my preference, or the fibre-filled, which I don't think hold their shape very well. I have got so many feather inserts and so many cushion covers, and I've been making my own recently too, that I just did not want any more cushion covers. So guess what happened? Well, you'll have to watch on to the end of the video and I will show you. So I've been using, there's a lid that comes off my red box. I've been using that to stow everything away. Oops. Oh goodness me, I did that a bit too heavily. The first thing I bought was this little, it's a polystyrene wreath ring. I absolutely love wreath rings and making wreaths at all times of the year. Coincidentally, this was from the daughter-in-law of our former chairman of Flower Club, who sadly passed away coming up to a year ago now. So it was quite nice for me to have a look, or all of us, Jan and Lisa, because we all belonged to the Flower Club, and it was quite nice having a look at all these things that we knew belonged to a former Flower Club member. I'm trying to go foam free at the moment, so what am I doing buying plasticky stuff? Well, sometimes needs must. And it had already been bought, so I am going to use it. My long-term plan is to bind velvet ribbon over this wreath form, and then all the brooches I've been collecting over the last couple of years, which I'm picking up from car boot fairs and charity shops, wanting to spend ideally no more than 50p each. I wanted to pin them on there to create a really upmarket market wreath. And I thought even I could do a little bow at the top and have a long ribbon to suspend it from. So if you want to have a look at the brooches I've already bought, well, you're going to have to find the playlist called Charity Shop Thrift Hauls, and you'll be able to see the kinds of brooches that I have been collecting over the years. And if you're collecting brooches too, or if you love dories at Christmas or any other time of the year, don't forget to check out my Facebook, which is Flower Star World. I'll leave a link to it in the description underneath this video. You just need to click and then you can join the group, and it's a place for you to share your flower arranging pieces, arrangements you've been doing, what you've been getting from the charity shop or car boot fairs, and also if you've been doing any crafting lately, I'd love to hear from you. So the next item is a tiny, can you see that? It's a tiny, actually when everything went crunch in the box there, I just wondered whether I'd chipped a bit off its beak, but it's a little chicken, so it's an egg cup. This was 50p, and it was from a lady who lives quite near me, and I think actually last year I recognised her stall. She had a lot of egg cups which she was getting rid of for a family member. Now, if I go into my kitchen cupboard here, the reason why I bought this particular egg cup is because I knew that I had the matching one at home already. So I think this one probably cost me 50p at a car boot fair as well, which means my policy is one in, one out, because I don't want to get overwhelmed, which means that the black one I bought a while ago probably shows up better in terms of what I've got. That I'm contemplating passing this one on because I've now got 2 of the clear ones. What do you reckon? Do I keep them both or say goodbye to the black egg holder, because you can't fill up all your cupboards with all the beautiful finds that you find. Now, the next thing is I got, actually by coincidence, the first Sunday of the month, of every month, there is a vintage and antiques market in town. So it was a double jolly. Not only was it the antiques market, which was absolutely amazing, set up in our town centre. You can go and meander around. There's probably about 40 or 50 stalls, and there's cafes are open. It's all very lovely. So as we were going through town, we did a quick walk through the antiques market, and I came across this little dish here. So I was mentioning to one of my sisters that I'd bought a present for another sister. I said, do you remember when you gave her a spode plate? And she said, no, it's the other way around. So I brought this in mind to give to sister A, when actually it was sister B that's got the mini collection of spode. So now I can't quite decide what to do with this. Do I gift it as originally intended, even though it's the sister that doesn't actually have this collection? Or do I give it to the sister who was collecting it? Or do I just keep it to myself? It is all very confusing. But this was £4, and this was from one of the vendors at the antiques market. So hence £4 wasn't a lot of money for a plate, but I could, if someone had been selling this from their doorstep, I might have been able to get it for 50p or £1. So it's the classic spode Christmas pattern. So it's probably the size for an individual mince pie, or perhaps a few nuts, or Quality Street. Let me know in the comments what your favourite Quality Streets are. I particularly like all those soft ones and the fudges. So there we go. Now inside the box, have you guessed it yet? It's a bread bin made by Swan. So I paid £10 for the bread bin, and it included 3 canisters. Now, the reason I'm being slightly hesitant, I was wondering whether I had stored anything in the canisters. So the girls and I, we stopped for a tea break at the local cafe, and I had to repack my bags. I'd taken 2 shopping bags out with me, and I ended up buying really bulky and some quite heavy items. So I had to reorganise myself and pack lots of things into my bread bin in order that I could carry on shopping. So this is made by Swan, and we have an ongoing running joke about swans. My 2 friends seem to think I really like swan vases. I like the ugliness of swan vases. So they're always pointing out to me every single swan that comes along. And I keep saying, I'm in with a joke, but I don't really want any swans. So that's a little canister there. So when I checked online, because that's part of the excitement, isn't it? When you've been out thrifting, that you've bought what you can afford, you've bought what you liked, but you've bought what you collected. But sometimes I do enjoy using a bit of Google Lens in the evenings following my daytime extravaganza, just to find out a little bit more about what I've been buying and about whether I've got a bargain. So I have spotted this bread bin online, and it was about £20, but it didn't include the canisters. So I have got the bread bin and 3 canisters for £10 for the lot, so I was quite pleased about that. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I'm sort of refreshing some of the decorations at home and embracing sort of more of a perhaps a red, white and blue theme. Look, here I am, very patriotically dressed. So I'm having a bit of quandary about what to do with my bread bin, because you can just see here, is the corner of my wooden bread bin. Do I put my bread bin in the kitchen and use it as a bread bin and insert a pop of the bright red, or have I got too much bright red at the moment? Even when I'm just standing here, I've got some red striped cushions stacked up. They belong, take them in and out for our patio furniture. We've got seat pads on our wooden chairs. They happen to be red, white and blue stripes. I can see our red waste bin. I've got some utensils that are red. I've even got a plate of red tomatoes, and they are sitting on my blue spode. So I sort of want to have a curated look, but I don't want it to look as if I've only ever got anything that's red, white and blue, and it becomes too sort of obvious. I'm just looking as well at the broom handle I've got, and even the napkins are red and white as well. So I thought everything needs washing up, and I thought I might transfer our bread items into the new bread bin and see whether anyone notices or comments. But I was half thinking that these containers might be quite good for my craft supplies. They do need washing out. There's a little bit of tea bag dust in there. Or whether I use them as sort of like a desk tidy. I've got my desk set up in our dining room, and when I finished working I sort of pack everything away. So I did think I could sort of use it as an informal filing cabinet. But yes, I got 1 and 2 and 3, and then the bin itself, which has a little bit of a look of a call box for picnic times. So what do you reckon? Bread bin, craft supplies, or office tidy? Let me know in the comments. Now, one of the first things I bought when we went out, we all met at a bridge. It was sort of equidistance from our homes because we knew which roads we wanted to go around, and we've got our favourite places. And so we met at the bridge, and we went over the railway line and stopped at the first house on the other side of the railway line, and they were selling some rather lovely magazines, and I cannot resist magazines. Now, if like me, I don't have any subscriptions because I like to change my magazines up a bit, but they are increasingly expensive. I guess everything is expensive these days, just going up in money all the time. So I was quite pleased to see lots of magazines, but I thought I would restrict myself to just 4. These were exceptionally well priced at 25p each, so I got 4 for £1. And the dates of the ones I picked, they were really up-to-date magazines. I have got March 25, April 25, May 25, and April 25. So I got 2 lots of magazines. I've got 2 of the World of Interiors, which is an absolutely beautiful magazine. Now, a friend of mine who used to live in town and then moved away several years ago, I used to love it when I stayed at her house because she had all these really swanky interiors magazines. And she said that actually they weren't her magazines. Her regular Christmas present to another friend was a subscription to the World of Interiors, and that friend, when she'd read them, used to give them back. So she was sort of giving herself a present. And I can remember, flicking through and having a look. So I thought, I think I just want to indulge myself in a magazine I wouldn't normally buy. It's actually at £5.99. That actually, in relation to the current cost of magazines, isn't that bad. So perhaps I will have to consider this again. And then when I was showing my friends the ones I bought, I was taken by this fabric here. So as I said, I'm thinking of doing some revamping. If you've been following me along in my Facebook group, I think I did show you some pictures how I had whitewashed our dining room. It used to be dark grey, 7 coats of paint. And then I'm rejigging that. And as I buy new things, it's in my colour palette of red, white and blue. Basically what that means is I'm not going to be strictly sticking to red, white and blue, but I don't want any yellow, orange or purple. At the moment our house has got a degree of quite a lot of green in it. I just want to move away from the green a little bit. But this fabric here is practically identical to the fabric I picked up to make a cover for our footstool, our poof, and to make a pillow, a cushion cover. And that is sort of my source fabric. So I do carry a piece of this fabric with me in my bag, just in case I do want to, do some colour swatching along the way. And I've tried to buy everything inexpensively. Part of I could afford to go to a fabric shop and buy stuff, but I quite like the excitement of going to track things down. So the original fabric I bought was from a shop in Ramsgate, haberdashery shop. If you go upstairs, I think they sell ends of rolls of things. So I bought this, a blue and a ticking stripe as well, to sort of start wanting to sort of mix and match what I'm going to do. So that, I'm enjoying reading that magazine at the moment. And the other magazines I got was Homes and Gardens, so 2 copies of this. So I've really been enjoying this, especially as my interest is sort of shifting a little bit in wanting to have a nice home, as well as wanting to do beautiful flower arrangements to put in my home. And then the added bonus for this magazine was I really liked the back cover. Sometimes the back covers are just advert. Well, I guess that is an advert. It's an advert for Fabric and Wallpaper Company, but it looks much more inviting than that advert. Now, what I like to do with lots of my magazines, I tend to read them, pass them on, sometimes rip pages out, and I do keep a file of things that have been inspiring me. So I normally have a spring, summer, autumn, winter and a Christmas folder where I've put pictures in of things that to do with flowers mainly, but I am slightly moving into the home decor area. But do you remember the way back when we had Flower Club in the run up to Christmas, must have been Christmas 2020 I think, and we made origami gift boxes using the back pages of magazines. So if you're interested in finding out more about that video, I will try and remember to link it in the description. If I forget, please do leave me a comment and I will dig it out for you. So I'm thinking, when I've read this magazine and pass it on, I may well pass it on without its back cover. And the reason for that is my sister, she quite often has subscribed to Simple Things and she lets me have her magazines. But I thought, won't they be 2 great covers? And originally I thought that could be the bottom of my box, and now I think it might be the top with that at the bottom. So keep your eyes peeled in the Facebook group or follow me on Instagram at flowerstar with an _, and we'll see how well I get on with my box making. It's addictive making these little boxes, and it's quite good fun to do. Keeps your fingers busy and keeps your fingers out of the biscuit tin. But you end up with boxes that are quite small, they're sort of this size, and so they're good for gifting little bits of jewellery and things like that, nothing bigger than that, or for keeping things in. So if you had pencil sharpeners or paper clips that needed keeping together, they're quite good for that as well. What I quite often do is just stack them up and put a ribbon around them as if it's a mini pack of presents, and they just look quite nice as a bit of decoration on the side, or just keep them open and have them as catch-all. Perhaps it's somewhere to put your keys in, something like that. Anyway, do you know what I said about not needing any more cushions? The fact that I have got a cupboard full of feather inserts. They wash, so put them through the washing machine. You just have to make sure they're scrupulously dry. So either run them through the tumble dryer, or on a really hot day, get them to dry outside and keep shuffling them and turning them over and repegging them on your line. And now I've got lots of cushion covers, but I have been making cushion covers as well, which is quite a cost-effective way of doing it. If you're buying fabric inexpensively and you're getting the pads from a charity shop inexpensively, I probably don't pay more than about £3.50 for a cushion in a charity shop, but I do go along and see which ones are feather-filled because they are my favourite. But because I've been buying fabric, I've got even more cushion covers now. So I just don't need any more cushions, apart from, I did buy this one when I was at the chap once. I think he said it was £5 and I only had £4 in my purse, or it was 4 and I only had £3, something like that. But you can just tell a feather-filled cushion. So this is originally from Laura Ashley, and the pattern, because I've Google lensed it, is cranberry wisteria. So can you see the wisteria blooms? There's also you could get the colourway online was also cream background, so this did show up as being a bit more lilac-y. So again, really pleased with that, and it goes with my loose interpretation of red, white and blue. So I am on colour theme. It's just that, you know, how many cushions is too many cushions? Let me know in the comments. Now, the thing that I did actually have on my list, I cannot tell you how excited I was to find this, but I was still, it's amazing, isn't it? You go out and you know something's a really good deal, it's been on my list, but I was just a bit quibble, do I, don't I? Part of that might have been there because I didn't want to carry it home, it's quite a bulky item, but Jan had bought something else and she'd phoned her husband and he was going to collect it. And the next house we went to, I found this item and he said he would pick it up for me and I collected it from him later in the day. So this is what it is. I bought this beautiful chair for £5. So I have seen similar chairs in the charity shop, perhaps a little bit more beaten up, sort of £5, £10, £15. So I could not believe my luck. So, do you know your chairs? Can you tell me anything about this? I wondered whether it was Edwardian. It's got sort of arts and crafts, very sleek, sort of delicate look. But the only thing I've been able to find out for sure from using Google is it's called a balloon back chair because it's got a, you know, like a big hot air balloon like this. Lots of these balloon back chairs say Victorian, but I think the decoration was heavier, you know, more ornate and you know, just visually heavy. What I particularly like about this, can you see how the legs, all four of them, just got that sort of dainty splay out? It's got one rung at the front, one at the back, and two at the sides. And look at that caning. The gentleman I bought this from said his father used to own a shop in town and it was his father or father-in-law would have recaned it. He said to me that at that time, which I guess must be 20 or 30 years ago, for every hole in that is created by the caning, the going rate then was £1.50 a hole, and his father used to charge 90p a hole, and some people still thought that that was too expensive. So how many holes do you think I've got there? I'm not going to count them, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that's 10. So that would be 100 holes approximately there. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800 holes times by £1.50. Wow. You do the maths, and seriously, you do the maths. I'm going to have to think about that one. So I'm rather pleased with all of these things. Now, where's it going to go? One in, one out. I've been having a quandary. The idea for this is, again, those magazines I've been looking at, is that I wanted a beautiful chair, and I was imagining all my most lovely flower arranging books, this was stacked up as if I was casually going to be reading them, and it has looked really nice like that. I've had the chair, and I was sort of stashing away all my bits and pieces before I made the video. I've had the chair with the cushion on it, which looked quite nice as well. So they're sort of in holding at the moment, so I haven't quite decided where they're going to go, but doesn't that look really, really nice? Ignore my tablecloth there. So I am in the middle, as I say, of just adapting and getting things together in the house. So it looks rather lovely. Oh, I've not actually sat on this yet. It takes my weight. And so now I've enjoyed shopping, I've enjoyed doing a little bit of research about things. The next point that I really enjoy is assimilating all these lovely finds into my home, and at the same time just trying to curate things in the sense that I don't want a house that's chock-a-block. I've already got a load of stuff I'm going to take and do a car boot fair myself. So at the moment what I need to think about is, does the bread bin go in the kitchen? I might give it a go. And should I get rid of one of my collection of the little chicken egg cups, which are made in France, so it would be the black one that would be ready for the chop. Let me know what you think. So that's all from me for now, for the moment. And I said, it would be lovely if you shared your thrifted finds with me. So check out the Facebook group and post your pictures in there. Thrifted finds, things you've been crafting, and of course flower arranging too. And then I shall wrap it up and see you again next time.